I'm the master blender. I did all the blending and formulation myself.
Wait, that's badass.
If you're just going to come in and expect it to be easy, this is the wrong business for you. I think I felt at the beginning like I was doing something wrong because I didn't start my company on $5,000.
Am I a failure? Am I running through money like nobody's business? How did everyone else do that? Because you literally cannot create a product in alcohol for $5,000.
No, it's just not possible.
Even white labeling, it's the wrong business. White labeling in alcohol is not easy either.
However long you think it's going to take and however much you think it's going to cost, double it.
Too. Welcome to More Than the Hype, the podcast where we go beyond the surface, beyond the trends, and straight into real, unfiltered conversations about business. I'm your host, Kristin Taylor. Grab a glass of wine from KT Winery or water because moisture is important. And let's get into it, because success is more than just the hype. So give me a description of Happenstance, then we're going to dive in and how you built the brand, your background at Anheuser-Busch, which is also so fascinating because you don't meet a lot of women from the beer world. And then you transitioned it and said, F it, and then made whiskey, which you also never see. So
yes,
tell me about the whiskey itself.
So Happenstance is a 100% woman-owned and led bourbon company out here in Nashville, Tennessee. We're drinking, it is noon now, so we've decided it's okay to be drinking. But yeah, really, honestly, what happened was I worked for Anheuser-Busch. And when I was there, they have an in-house venture capital arm. ZX Ventures is kind of the name of it. And they were doing a ton of innovation. This was back in 2017, right before seltzer became a category.
Okay.
So I spent a lot of time meeting with teams, canned wine companies, seltzer companies, emerging categories in the beer, wine, and RTD space. And so got to spend a lot of time with startup founders and startup teams and seeing how they were rolling their product out in new markets through the Anheuser-Busch network. And at the same time, I was doing marketing for Anheuser-Busch. So I was working with the New York office. The brand teams are all based out of New York City.
And where were you living?
I was living in Southern California. I was in LA, Orange County area. And so I was working for them there and got to spend a lot of time, being the liaison between the brand teams and the local Southern California office that I was working in. So I got a lot of really good on-the-ground exposure as far as how to start a brand, build a brand, grow a brand, and especially right before seltzer boomed. That was a cool time to be there. No one was talking about it externally in the market, and obviously now, you've got
it's everywhere.
White Claw. Everyone knows what a seltzer is now, but then nobody really did. That was kind of just a new category that hadn't really hit the market yet. So I kind of learned a lot being on the ground there, which is cool. And so when I left that company, I've always wanted to start my own company. And I just kind of said, okay, what's next? What do I want to do? Do I want to do it in alcohol? What does that look like? And started diving into the white space in the market. And I came across a statistic that said nearly 40% of bourbon drinkers are women.
Which, this is a big passion for me, obviously, with Mom Juice and having a woman-owned wine company. We get told that women and moms are niche all the time. And it's wild because we're the consumer, so we actually buy the product regardless if we drink it or not. But back to your point, we actually consume 40% of sales, which that means we have this massive market that's not being talked to.
That was crazy to me. I mean, it's a $20 billion industry, the whiskey business. $8 billion in revenue is being driven by that female consumer. And there's really not anybody speaking to that audience specifically. And so that kind of got me thinking and going down a rabbit hole. And I started diving into Facebook groups for women who drink whiskey, and I just started jumping in there and asking questions saying, hey, women, if you love whiskey, is there enough in the market, or is there a white space? What does that look like? And I just got flooded with comments, and women were just chiming in from all over the country saying, actually, yeah, a huge white space. I would love something that I can give as a gift, and it has premium packaging, and I don't feel like it's off my grandpa's shelf. Mm-hmm. I want something that has contemporary bottle design that looks great on my bar cart. And then they talked about the flavor profile too. I want something that is easy to drink, that's not super, super high proof, that it makes me, I have to chase it or I have to water it down or put a rock on it, right? I want something I can mix in a cocktail. I can drink at home. I can drink out at the bar. And then I want something that from a lifestyle perspective relates more to the lifestyle that I live and what that looks like through branding and marketing. just speaking to a different consumer. And so I said, okay, I think based on the amount of interest here,
There's a
we
market.
might be onto something. Let's, kind of dive down that road. And it led me to what is now this beautiful company and this beautiful brand, Happenstance.
Yes. Well, it's interesting for me because I'm a big whiskey drinker. I'm usually a rye girl, so I very much like a sweeter mash. I got to try this maybe a couple weeks ago, just at my house with my boyfriend. I think then he made some type of Manhattan with it. I did it just by itself, then added a splash of water later, and it was wonderful about how easy it was. And I wasn't concerned like, oh my gosh, this is going to put so much hair on my chest. And I love and hate that phrase as a woman because that's just not how I like to relate. But it was so delicious and simple yet versatile because he could make it into a cocktail and I could have it straight. And I love that you really found that data, honestly, and made what people really wanted. That's kind of that community-driven brand. How did the name happen?
So the name is from an Eric Church song, the song Springsteen.
Oh,
Being in
okay.
Nashville, it felt appropriate. So there's a
Yes.
line in there where it says, I bumped into you by happenstance. And really the meaning of happenstance is luck and opportunity. And it felt like I kind of fell into this by luck. I fell into an opportunity. And so it just felt like a perfect name for the company. But yeah, I appreciate you saying that because I think that was the feedback that we got from people too, is people don't want, and I mean, I've been doing this since 2019 now. As far as product development,
Right.
talking to people about bourbon and whiskey, people don't want something that is so high proof that it's really hard to drink. I mean,
Right.
if you're really into bourbon and into the world of collecting, maybe you do, but the average bourbon consumer doesn't really want that. And I would say that's not just for women. I would say that's for men too. They want something that they can come home and have an everyday bourbon. And the feedback we get on this is that's what it is. It's something that I can just drink on a weeknight when I've had
It's
a
a
long day at
Tuesday
work.
bourbon.
It's a Tuesday bourbon,
Yes.
So yeah, so I mean that's the cool part about it is it's so approachable.
Well, and I want to dive into why whiskey as well. Were you a big whiskey drinker before this?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
And I get asked that question all
I'm
the
sure
time,
you do.
which is crazy to me
Because no one asked me that about wine, by the way.
well, that's my point. I get asked, I mean, I was at an event this week. I had 3 people ask me if I actually drank whiskey.
If you actually
Yes, it happens all the time. And I'm the master blender. I did all the blending and formulation myself.
Wait, that's badass. Okay, we have to talk about that. So, I'm a big fan of Uncle Nearest, and Fawn is a wonderful mentor for me. And obviously, I don't make whiskey, and I have no idea how to make whiskey other than the distillery tours I do. But it seems like similar to winemaking, it is art, it is science, it is a little bit of maybe luck as well as how the first one is going to turn out, and then you start tinkering. Or how did you come up with how this was going to happen and actually how to make what's in the bottle?
Yeah, so when I decided I was gonna explore this idea of starting a whiskey company, I booked a flight to Kentucky, and I spent a week driving down the Kentucky Bourbon Trail, meeting with all different distilleries in town,
Wow.
learning about the industry, trying to just see where the opportunity was, who would be a good partner to work with, what that looked like. And I ended up at one place, and I think we spent a few hours. I mean, you take a dropper, and you're literally putting 1 drop at a time of water to just open it up and see what that flavor profile looks like. So I just sat there for hours and was kind of just mixing and blending and trying to figure out what I wanted. But I really wanted that cabernet-style bourbon. That was really important to me. So I'm a wine drinker always. I've spent a lot of time in France and
In the industry,
wine
just
in the
overall.
industry in the wine region there, and so I have a love and appreciation for wine as well. And I'm from California, so Napa and wine region there is also
Yes.
prominent. So I just grew up loving wine, and I'm a Cabernet drinker, so that was important
Obviously, I
to
love a
me.
good cab as well.
Love a good cab.
Yes.
But that was important to me, was to have something that was really full-bodied, smooth, naturally sweet. That was kind of the flavor profile I was going for, because when I sit down to a really nice dinner, there's just nothing like a good cab
Right.
to go with your meal. And I wanted that same experience with Happenstance.
Funny enough, though, I was literally thinking when I had my glass, I was making barbecue. I was making ribs, and usually I actually have Cabernet with it. It was like, oh, this is really great. This is easy. This is yummy. And then I, actually did the rating because I'm a big taste first and then find the story. So it's actually really interesting that is the approach you took.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that was really important to me because I knew my palate for wine and I really wanted that to translate into bourbon. So,
So you went down to Kentucky.
yes,
It's called like the Whiskey Trail or something like that, or
the Bourbon Trail.
yeah, the Bourbon
Yeah.
Trail.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
did the Bourbon Trail, and you sit down. You're using the dropper. You're figuring out flavor profiles. How did you actually get it from that small batch testing into the bottle? Like, what was that process like? Who helped you? Was this just you?
It was just me at first.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Team of one,
team of one.
creating a whiskey product.
Creating a product. And I mean, this being in the industry, I would say probably the product was the easy part.
Isn't that wild?
Yes.
Yes, I agree though.
Yeah.
That's the easiest part.
Yeah, I think, it's the product development. I knew what I wanted. I had clarity on that. Found some really good people to work with in the business. And, but yeah, I think getting it off the ground has been the challenge as far as, the way this industry is structured. It's a whole other podcast we could do and talk
I know,
about that.
prohibition. We should call it prohibition.
Yeah.
We could do a round table, like a therapy session with us and a few of the other
Yeah.
women in the industry.
Completely.
Do you remember who your first customer was? Like where you sold your first bottle?
Here in Nashville.
Okay.
The first time I got to try it was I feel like when you launch, you kind of launch a lot of accounts at once, right?
Yes.
But yeah, the first time I got to try it was at a bar here in Nashville called Ella Jackson. They had it at the rooftop. And so we had cocktails there. We did our launch event there, which was really fun. So that was the first place I got to actually order it and try it.
What did it feel like when you first held the bottle? I cried personally, and it's really embarrassing. I have scrubbed that video from the internet because I'm ugly crying. I look like Kim Kardashian, and she's like, Kim, people are dying. She's like, I lost my
I would love to see that.
Yeah. Maybe in 10 years I'll release it. But yeah, do you remember what it felt like?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's so cool. It feels very surreal because you pour hours and hours and hours into developing something from the package design to, I don't think people realize every single, I went through 12 shades of gold to figure out which gold foil we wanted embossed on the bottle. There's so many different options.
And what tooth do you want the label at? Do you like a linen? Do you like a raised? Do you like a pebbled? It's insane.
Absolutely. And there's so many different parts and components and pieces that go into actually building a product and a quality product too. So, I think that it's, by the time you get there, I think you're a little overwhelmed because you're like, wow, I've made hundreds and thousands of decisions to get to this point. What do I do now? It's super exciting. But I think it kind of makes you pause and you're like, oh my God, I feel like I'm only getting started at the same time.
Right. It's all fresh. It's all new.
Yeah.
I think for me, when we started, I had a lot of whimsy, a lot of wonder. And I look back and I thank God I did, because I wouldn't have done it if I had known how hard it was going to be. Because boy, oh boy, this industry will challenge you. We're applying for another license for a different state right now. And I just looked at the sheer amount of paperwork. It's like, wow, this would have taken whimsy Kristin out of the race. But now I'm like, yeah, that's fine. You want to know my firstborn? Cool. Sounds great. Here's my kidney, But
that's also why it's so important. I think that's why I love, conversations we have is there's not a lot of women in this industry. And it is very, very challenging. The way it's set up, it's not set up for success.
Definitely not.
You have to be a fighter. You have to be persistent. It's not for the faint of heart. And so if you're just going to come in and expect it to be easy, this is the wrong business for you.
Business.
Do something else, right? So
even white labeling, it's the wrong business. White labeling in alcohol is not easy either.
No,
I
not
think
at all.
people think that that's going to be the easy route. It's not. It's the same problems.
Yeah, whichever path you pick in this business, you're going to have challenges. It's just how it's set up. But it's also a very fun industry at the same time. I always try and keep in mind that we're selling whiskey at the end of the day. It's supposed to be really fun, and we're building a really fun brand and culture around it. And, part of us, our culture at Happenstance is we want to celebrate life's moments. That's what having a drink means to us. It's a celebration of life. And so we kind of try and keep that in mind with the experiences that we build too. So it is, very rewarding, but you have to be a fighter. You can't be passive. And, I think that's why it is cool to meet women in this industry, because it's a lot of very strong women
100%.
that are doing very cool things.
What is one thing you were really surprised about in the process of getting this setup started, whether that be legally, whether that be how expensive everything was, whether that be working with distributors, what was the one thing that, even though you had been in the industry, you were kind of like, wow, that should have been way less friction?
Honestly, I listen to so many entrepreneurship podcasts, which I'm sure you do too, and a lot of them are female founders, and they're talking about how they scaled a company to, $26 million in annual revenue with $5,000.
Okay, thank you. Can we
And
talk
I
about this?
think I think I didn't. I think I felt at the beginning like I was doing something wrong because I didn't start my company on $5,000,
Yes.
and it was really kind of almost.
Am I a failure? Am I running through money like nobody's business? How did everyone else do that? Because you literally cannot create a product in alcohol
No,
for $5,000.
no, it's
And
just
it's
not possible.
one of the biggest things investors have brought up to me was, why can't you just like bootstrap this? I was like, to $3 million in revenue for a product makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, I think just what a lot of people don't realize is how difficult it is to get an alcohol product off the ground. It's incredibly difficult. And so, I listen to all these podcasts and, I celebrate these women that have started these incredible companies. I think it's so incredible that you can drive millions and millions of dollars of revenue with a very small starting point. But it's just not the case for this business, mostly because of infrastructure, regulation. There's a lot that goes into the back end that makes it difficult. And so I think that's where, as women starting businesses and you're listening to these other communities and these other female founders and you're like, what am I doing wrong? Why couldn't I get this off the ground for $5,000?
Right.
And, my 28, 29-year-old self starting this company, that's what I thought, I was doing something wrong, which now that I'm 4 or 5 years in, I have a very different perspective. But at the beginning, that was my reference point. And
1,000%.
yeah,
It was
crazy.
the girls with their amazing fitness companies selling it. And I'm like, oh, that's a product. But I think one of the things I've learned the most recently for me is that CPG and alcohol are not the same. We love to say CPG. One, the multiples we sell for are very, very different. They're selling 3 to 5x. Alcohol's 8 to 10, right? So there already lies this massive difference. 2, the startup cost is just insane, especially with licensing. Licensing is that was my big surprise. It's like, oh, this is really expensive for me to tell you how much money I have to pay you, government. I have to spend this in every state. And I think it goes back to, you think you're going to hit $1 million much faster, but the states and actually getting distributors will slow you down. So who's on your team now? Because you guys are in this really cool season of expansion. And I feel like there's going to be a lot more bottles of Happenstance sold in the next coming months.
Yes, I'm so excited. We just launched 4 new markets this year. So we've been very busy.
Where are you at now? Where did you just launch?
So we were in Tennessee for the beginning of the business, and now we're available also in Texas, Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida. So some big markets. It's been really great. We've been very well received in these other markets. It's given us some unique challenges. Every state is regulated differently. So there's 4 tiers in some states, which, that's always a learning curve to figure out. You think you have the 3-tier system figured out, and then you go to a 4-tier state, and
it's a whole
nother thing. So, but that's been great for us. And we have an awesome team.
Okay.
We're all based here in Nashville.
I love that. Who's on the give me your structure. Just thinking of the other female founders who are trying to figure out how to get this to where you've gotten yours
off the ground. Well, we're all women right now, and that was not intentional. I just think
I just love it so much.
Yeah, we're an all-female bourbon company, and that was not intentional by any means. I think we just I'm so lucky that our team is so talented and they work so hard, and everybody is so passionate about the brand and the mission behind it. And I think that's why we have an all-female team, is because the team that I do have bent over backwards and gone that extra step to try and get the job and convey how passionate
they care
they are.
so deeply, I assume, at this point.
Yes.
Too. They're bought in.
I mean, we've got an awesome, everyone, the energy is super high. We're a fun, hardworking group of women, and we'd love a guy on our team at some point. It's something
we'd
love to have. No, I would love to have, some men in the room as well. But it's just kind of naturally worked out that way, because we just have such a strong culture of, female empowerment within the space and speaking to that female bourbon consumer, that it's attracted a lot of female whiskey drinkers who want to work for us
Where did you find them?
all over the place. So I
Okay.
went to Vanderbilt.
Oh, yeah. You're in this Tennessee
Yes.
space. You were hardcore then.
Yes.
Yes.
I went to Vanderbilt, and my first hire, Allie, she is our marketing manager, and she also is a Vanderbilt alum.
Yes. Do you guys
So-
say Vandy?
Vanderbilt.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So Vanderbilt's an awesome school. Grateful for that community. They've really done a lot for us here in Nashville.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so it's a fantastic university. And so Allie was my first hire. She is still with us today.
Okay.
Yeah, she's here behind the scenes doing some social media.
Yes. Yes. She's very nice.
But yes.
We like her. Okay. So you have Allie. Do you have anyone in ops? Anyone else in sales? Where else?
We have a full comprehensive team right now, and we're continuing to grow. So as we continue to grow, we'll continue to hire in new markets. We're looking to expand in 2026 as well. And we have some new product coming out next year this year, not next year, this year.
Yeah.
Product-
Okay.
product
That was my
coming out.
next question.
Yes.
What is next? So you have kind of like maybe your flagship bourbon. How are you phrasing it and what's coming next?
So this
When
is
can I
our-
have it?
This is our Founders Edition bourbon.
Okay, Founders Edition.
I have not reiterated the product. I have not changed the product since we launched. The formulation is still the same. The packaging is still the same. There's not one component on the product that has changed since we launched. And I think that's a testament to the kind of feedback we have gotten from our customer. Liquid to lips is the best marketing strategy in this business.
Can we talk about that real quick?
Yeah.
Because I'm very passionate about this and I think it's the most cost-effective way and it's, to me, the most efficient. So what has your experience been with liquid to lips? Because I want to clip this and send this to other beverage founders who are starting because I wish someone had said this to me earlier.
I think spend the money on liquid to lips. If I can give you any marketing advice in this business, that's where I think you're going to really get in front of your customer, get them to try your product, engage with your brand, and then you can tell the story to them directly. With the 3-tier system, it's often challenging to track your data, track your customer numbers. It's not like a typical direct-to-consumer company where you're capturing emails with online purchases and you have a direct line to your customer at all times. You can build that. It just looks very different in this business. And so trying to capture data, you're coming at it from a lot of different angles. So I think when you can build a liquid to lips marketing strategy and sales strategy on the ground floor, and you have reps who are talking to customers and saying, hey, what's your feedback on the product? Do you like this? Do you like the marketing? Do you like the packaging? What do you think of the price point? If you can ask them all those questions in real time and get that real-time feedback, there are, Fortune 500 companies that pay consulting agencies or data agencies
To try to
hundreds
find
of thousands
out.
of dollars to try and find out what their customer wants. But you have direct access to them by just doing a tasting. So I think it's always worth putting the money into retail support in that capacity.
You and I are probably both really fortunate because Colorado and Tennessee have very similar markets as there's a lot of local stores. So you can do a lot of tastings. Your team can personally do them legally and much cheaper and ask those questions, get that data. Because we've taken all of that data into every market and said, this is where we need to go, where we shouldn't be. And I think that has been huge for us. So maybe there's something about Colorado and Tennessee that really give you a leg up, in my opinion, just from a data play. But back to your Founders Edition. So you've kept everything the same. You have this great consumer data, and now you're adding.
Now we're adding.
Okay,
Yeah.
what are we adding? Or can you say?
Yes.
Okay.
We're coming out with a single barrel. So this will be our first very aged single barrel product. So it's coming out, let's see, end of next month, 2 months. What
Okay.
is it? Yeah.
Oh, actually, so this may
So
come out
early
around the same
summer.
time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a list we can get on if we want it? Are we pre-selling it, or is that kind of dropping at one time? How do people get this?
It'll be dropped all at the same time, but you can order it online. So we can ship to 40 states.
Okay.
So if you're interested in trying our single barrel, you can go on our website and buy it there.
Yes. And I actually ordered it online. It got to me very quickly.
Wonderful.
Yes. I think it was 5 days maybe. So it's a good process. It was very easy. I felt very communicated too. I actually sent this to my team. I was like, hey guys, let's get a little email going. Okay. I'm really excited about this. Similar price point?
A little more expensive.
Okay.
It's a lot older.
Okay.
So it's a 9-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be killer.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
It's fantastic. So we're getting all the award results back right now, and it's winning some gold.
Oh,
So
yes.
it's I'm excited about it. It's going to be a really nice addition to our founders. So
yes. Okay. I love that this portfolio is growing. Okay. I have a few rapid questions for you.
okay,
Okay. You
it.
ready? What's your favorite whiskey cocktail?
Whiskey sour. But at like a craft cocktail bar where they do the egg.
Right. This is not a dive bar whiskey sour.
Yeah, because I've had a dive bar whiskey sour, and sometimes
just
they
sour
don't come out the
mix.
same. Yeah. But no, at like a nice craft cocktail bar, I love a really good whiskey sour in a coupe glass. Fantastic.
What is the best advice or the best learning from working at Anheuser that you brought to Happenstance?
That's a great question. I think the importance of a good product and a good story. I think if you don't have a good product, I don't think you'll be ultimately successful in this business. You may be able to, gain some points of distribution or scale up to a certain volume and exit and appear successful, but I think it's a really short-term strategy. I think if you really want to build a sustainable brand in this business, you have to have a good product.
What's one thing consumers misunderstand about the industry that you wish you could just shake them and be like, no, this is not how it works?
Probably 1,000 things, and I think you'd agree with me.
Probably on all of them, yes.
Yeah, whenever I'm at cocktail parties or dinner parties talking to people about the business, they're like, wait, that's how it works? I'm like, yeah, it's pretty complicated on the back end. But yeah, I don't know if there's one thing. I think
there's lots of things.
I think like if we wanted to do another podcast,
we totally should.
We could totally talk.
We should do a deep dive.
Detail. Yeah.
But around like cocktail hour.
Yes.
Because I think there's just so much to dive into there.
Yes.
Actually, that's a great idea. We should definitely do that. Who has been your inspiration in this journey? And this could be anyone. This could be family. This could be a friend. This could be, Bethany Frankel. I don't know. This could be anyone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my family has been so supportive in this. They were, at the launch party. I think when I told them I was starting a whiskey company at first, they were like, why? I thought you were working at Budweiser. What happened? Right. And now I think, they're my number one supporters, and they're like, oh, we get it now. I think when you don't have a physical product, it's really hard for people to understand what's in your head and that vision. Mm-hmm. So
what you're doing all day.
And what you're doing all
My
day.
mom did not understand that I was working
on a product.
She's like, no, you're just like available.
Yeah. Because product development does take some time.
It does.
It does take.
How long did you take?
Almost 2 years. So it does take a lot of time to really get it just right, and that's everything from the formulation to the design to the packaging to the sourcing the raw materials to looking at your cost of goods, looking to your go-to-market launch strategy. There's a lot that goes into that.
Yes.
Making sure you have all your licenses, your compliance, you have your distribution set up,
making sure you can pay for it,
making sure it's financed.
Like.
Every
step of the way.
What's your team going to look like? I'm a single founder, so I don't have a co-founder in this. So I think that it is challenging in itself sometimes.
Definitely.
Too.
Because the buck stops with you. There's no one else to bounce things off of. This is your baby.
Right. Yes. So sometimes you could be the bottleneck in that business if the workload is just coming in hot. You're working all the time to make sure things are moving forward. So. I think when you're developing a product, just for anyone that is listening and wants to get into this business, take the time to get the product right, to get the branding right, to get the messaging right, to get your team right, to make sure you have enough runway financially to get it off the ground. It's probably going to take a minute, right? Whatever you think however long you think it's going to take and however much you think it's going to cost, double it.
Times 2. Yeah.
That's my advice.
Times 2.
Like whatever, even if you're like, this is a conservative estimate,
times 2,
maybe 3, right?
Yes.
Because there's going to be challenges that come up that if you've never done it before, you didn't anticipate.
Exactly.
There's going to be things that you didn't know you needed to do. Or
there's going to be that event that you're like, we actually really should be there. This is actually a good idea. Oh, this is going to cost an extra,
right.
0, 0, 0, 0, 0.
Yeah. So you want to make sure you have a buffer built in so that you can continue to grow. And, runway is so important for a company, especially a startup.
Yes.
That's why companies don't make it, is because they run out of runway. So make sure you build that runway in from day one.
Absolutely.
And I think that'll, that gives you a lot more time to make mistakes too.
This is less rapid fire and more just like really specific. What does your morning routine and your evening wind down look like? to be able to
Chaos.
sustain.
It's chaos.
Yes. Okay. Tell me about
I'm
the
in
chaos.
I think sometimes I would love to have a morning routine, but the everyday is different era is kind of my morning routine. Sometimes I'm working till midnight. Sometimes, we have an event and I get home late. It just depends. Or sometimes we're traveling into new markets or, just out of town that throws off your routine. So
Literally today.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I think it's tough to really have,
The consistency.
the consistency.
Do you crave the consistency?
No, I love the chaos. I thrive in it.
I love it.
Do
What a
you?
startup founder. Every once in a while when I feel a little too, I'm like, oh, what would it look like if I could just wake up, do my yoga? That's just not how it works, especially not in
Right.
expansion seasons.
Workout is the first thing to go, always. And it's the worst.
It's
try
the
you try and
worst.
prioritize it, and it's tough.
It's very tough.
It's really tough. But
Do you have any non-negotiables that help keep you sane?
we'll try and get 8 hours of sleep a night.
Same. That's my awesome.
Keyword try.
Sometimes, yeah, I wake up like, I didn't send the newsletter. It's crazy the things that just creep into your mind, but I'm glad that sleep is one of yours.
Yeah, I think when you're an entrepreneur, your work and your personal life are really blended. And that's something else nobody really talks about either, is it is kind of 24/7. You're laying your head on your pillow at night and you're thinking about, oh, I got to do this and I got to do that, right? There's always something, and it's really hard to shut off. But it's also because you're passionate about it and because you love it. So
Yes.
I always say, entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. You really have to be committed to it. I think it probably takes, in this business, you're trying to build a long-term brand. 7 to 10 years is probably the runway to build a really sustainable
Brand.
brand.
Yeah.
And so you have to be committed to it and you have to be passionate about it because it's going to take a lot of hours to get there.
Well, Paige, I'm really excited for you because I think this is, if it's not the beginning, but it feels like just the beginning for you guys. And sorry, all women team, you gals. And I'm so excited to see how you're going to grow. And we're in a lot of the same markets now. So I'm excited to actually be able to oh, do you have Happenstance on the menu? Please ask for it everywhere you go. That's one of the best ways to grow a brand. How can people find you? How do they stay up to date with what is happening with Happenstance? How is it email? Is it newsletter? Is it your website? And how do they find it at their local store?
Yes. So if you don't live in the Southeast, in the stores that we sell at, you can order online in 40 states. If you're not one of the states that there's 10 states we don't ship to. So if that's the case, contact your congressman or your local representative and see
It's
if
more
they'll
to do with
change
them,
that.
less to do with you. Yes.
But for those fortunate enough to live in the 40 states that we do ship to, you can order it online. And you can keep up with us at Happenstance Whiskey on Instagram. We're always posting our events and things we're doing around town there. So
I love it. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for
Thank
coming. I'm so
you.
glad.
I was so happy to see you.
We ran into each other at Create and Cultivate. Thank you, Angeline, for the intro.
Yes, that was great.
It's just been wonderful.
I love
All right.
it.
Well, cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Yes. One more sip it's noon, so it's fine. That's a wrap for today's episode of More Than the Hype. If you love this conversation, make sure to subscribe and leave a review. It helps way more than you know. Until next time, stay bold, stay real, and keep chasing the hype.